Hey everyone, what's going on? Andy Clements here from Bodies by Moose, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about mastering bodyweight exercises. Bodyweight exercises can be a really great marker of strength, particularly in the upper body. And what we're going to focus on today is two very specific bodyweight exercises, and they're going to be push-ups and they're going to be pull-ups. Now I'm focusing on these because these are the two most common requests when I get clients and when I get people in the gym asking me how do I do a push-up or a pull-up, or how do I get stronger, strong enough to do a push-up or a pull-up. So that's what we're going to cover in as much detail as we can today. So the first thing that we need to get clear on is why on earth you would want to do a push-up or a pull-up in the first place. What motivates you to get in the gym and pull your chin to the bar or push yourself away from the ground? And that kind of feeds into the larger and the wider question of why do you go to the gym in the first place? So if your goal with these bodyweight exercises is quite simply just to be able to get your chin to a bar a bunch of times or push yourself away from the ground a bunch of times, then you probably don't need to watch the rest of this video. You probably just need to grab a bar and flail yourself up in any which way you like, if that's your only goal. But if your goal is to do something correctly and your wider goal of training is to build a physique or get stronger, then this is probably the video for you. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to assume that your wider goal in training is to build a really good, strong and aesthetic physique. And that would require you to pay some attention to how you perform exercises. So exercise execution is the foundation of everything you're going to do in the gym. So if you're going to do a push-up or a pull-up, don't just do it for the sake of doing a push-up or pull-up. Do it as part of a wider program that's going to increase your muscle mass, increase your strength, or feed into the main goal somehow. Don't just get caught up in this little mini goal that you've got of being able to pull yourself up to a bar, because if it doesn't feed into a wider goal, then you're wasting your time. So the first tip that I've got for you to be able to get strong enough to pull yourself up to a bar or push yourself up off the ground is to just get strong in general. And if you're not prepared to put yourself under a bar with a lot of weight on it and squat, or if you're not prepared to push a heavy weight off your chest on a bench press, or pull a big weight off the floor with a deadlift, or some kind of big heavy exercise, if you're not prepared to get strong with those, you're probably not going to be prepared to get strong enough to pull yourself up to a bar either. So the first tip that I've got for you, if you want to be strong enough to be able to pull yourself up to a bar or push yourself up off the ground in a pull-up or a push-up, is to just get strong in general. Just be prepared to do the necessary to get strong at these big, heavy movements, and in particular, the ones that feed into these exercises. So with a pull-up, you're looking at things like all different kind of grips and variations of a pull-down. If you can get strong enough to perform a pull-down with the equivalent to your own body weight on it, it's a pretty good predicator that you'll be able to do a pull-up. They're not exactly the same, but it's a pretty good indicator that you'll be strong enough, or very nearly strong enough, to pull yourself up to a bar as well. You'll also be interested in doing rows, in doing, like I say, pull downs, and in working your biceps and all the muscles in the rear delts, all the muscles involved in the pull down. With your push up, you need to be concerned with doing all kinds of horizontal and vertical presses and anywhere in between. Anything that's going to be working the front delts, the chest and the triceps, and they're things like close grip presses and dips and stuff like that. So that's going to have a direct carryover from the weight bearing exercises through to the bodyweight exercises. So that's what you need to be concerned with working on. So let's look more closely at the exercises themselves, and let's start in particular with the pull-up. Now, to get technical for a second, I'm going to try not to use too many jargony words here, but each rep of a movement, of any movement, any exercise in the gym, is split up into two particular phases, and they are concentric, and that basically refers to the positive phase of movement, or for example on a bench press when you're pushing it up, the lifting phase or the contraction phase of the muscle. And then the eccentric, which is the negative phase or the lowering phase of the movement. So on a pull-up, your concentric phase would be when you're pulling yourself up to the bar there. And your eccentric phase would be when you're lowering yourself and lengthening the lats and lengthening your body out on the way down of the movement. Now, the problem comes with people who can't do pull-ups is when they can't perform the concentric, they can't perform the positive phase of the movement. They can't actually pull themselves up to a bar. But what they can do is they can perform the eccentric part, because everybody can lower themselves from a bar. You don't have to pull yourself back up again. So it would only make sense for us to work on what we can do and not obsess about what we can't. And that's the best way to get stronger, is just to work where you can. So if you jump up to the top of a pull-up bar and lower yourself down as slowly as you can, and thinking about resisting gravity and thinking about sort of separating the fibers of your lats as you pull yourself down really, really slowly, that's going to help you strengthen that eccentric part of the movement and strengthen your lats bearing as much load as you weigh. So eventually, given enough time and enough practice and enough consistency, getting really strong at that eccentric movement will result in you being able to do the concentric movement, because we're always stronger on the way down of movement than we are on the way up. If you think about a bench press, right? If you think about loading 200 kilos onto a bench press, if I did that now, I'd be really, really good at lowering the weight to my chest. But there's not a snowball's chance in hell that I'm pushing that motherfucker back up again. There's just no way, okay? So carry that over to the pull-up, and the best chance you have at success is just to lower yourself down, jump up to the top and lower yourself again. So a little strategy for you maybe would be to start with 3 to 4 sets of that at the start of every workout, 3 or 4 times a week, and just go to failure. And then when you've reached failure and you can't hold yourself there anymore, and you just drop in, give yourself a minute rest and go again. And that was the exact strategy that I used to be able to get myself strong enough, develop that eccentric strength enough to be able to pull myself back up to the bar again. Now, the same thing applies to push-ups. So if you can't do a concentric phase, a pushing phase of the push-up, then your best bet is to slowly lower yourself down as slowly and resisting gravity all the way through as you can. Thinking about tearing apart the fibers and pulling apart the fibers really, really slowly in your chest. And then if you can't push yourself up, you just scramble back up to your toes and you go again. And you go to absolute failure, and you start every push workout maybe with 3 to 4 sets of that to failure. And eventually you'll get strong enough in conjunction with the other exercise and the other strength training you're doing to push yourself back up again. It will happen, it just needs to be given enough time. My next tip for mastering bodyweight exercises is using assistance in the gym. There's a reason that almost every single gym up and down the country is equipped with an assistive pull-up machine, because it works. And not only does it work, but it's great for tracking your progress and keeping track of your strength. If you have to use 15 kilos of assistance to be able to do a pull-up, then it's really easy to keep track of when you need to drop down to 12.5 kilos or to 10 kilos, and then you can slowly graduate away from that machine. Another great one for pull-ups in particular is using resistance bands. So tying the resistance band up to a bar, stepping in it with 1 foot or 2 feet, and using that to help you perform that concentric, that lifting phase of the movement. And that's really particularly good because right at the bottom of the movement, where the band is at its most stretched, is where the exercise that in particular is at its hardest. So that's where your lats are fully lengthened and you're in a very, very weak position. So you're getting the most assistance from the band at this point to be able to help you up. And as you pull up and you get through to that more strong position where you get more contraction through your lats, the assistance drops off. So that's what's called matching the strength curve for this particular exercise. So that's a really, really good choice as well. For push-ups, the only way that I can really think to provide some assistance is by dropping to your knees and seeing if you can perform the concentric movements there, and then you can graduate up to your toes when you develop enough strength to be able to do that. The final tip that I have for mastering bodyweight exercises is just to manage your body weight in general. So if you're carrying too much excess weight, if you're 3 or 4 stone overweight, you're probably going to have a really, really hard time being able to pull yourself up to a bar or push yourself off the ground. And this is just quite simple physics. If you're carrying excess weight, it's going to be really, really hard for you to move that weight around in time and space. So manage your nutrition, manage your sleep, manage your stress, and make sure that you aren't carrying too much weight, and you will have a much easier time performing these bodyweight exercises. Hope that was useful, guys. Stay tuned for another video really soon, and I will speak to you next time.